Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Srila ma'am, for the warm welcome. Welcome, Swamiji, and good evening to all our audience. Thank you for having me here. I'm very eager and curious to ask these questions because I, being a part of the youth, have had these queries and thoughts and questions in my mind a lot of times, and also I've thought that what if I was in a situation? What should I do? What should have I done? Right. And
Yes.
on that note, the question that I have for you is that most of the young bright brains leave our country every year in search of a better job and
Hmm.
also for a better career because we feel that the countries, the foreign countries might have a better opportunities.
Hmm.
Sometimes we even go to these countries because our families force us to do so.
Hmm.
Sometimes the economic situation leaves no other option for them but to go abroad and make some money and some quick bucks.
Hmm.
So some see it as a loss for our country, India, and that is why we usually call it like the brain drain situation. I want to know what is your opinion on this. How do you see this? Is this a healthy trend? Should people be promoted to leave their home country and go abroad? And do you think that it has a long term repercussion on our country?
If you ask this question to an economist or a politician, you're probably going to get a very different answer. But I look at it little differently. According to a recent report, India has the largest diaspora population in the world, with 18 million people roughly who live outside India. This was a number from 2020, I think. And probably the recent reports, you will see a larger number. I think about 29 million NRIs and people of Indian origin, whom we call PIOs. Now, I think OCI and PIO has become one. They are residing outside India. More than, I think, more than 7 lakh students, Indian students, they went abroad to study in 2022, which was a 6-year high. And we are also seeing a trend that many of these students don't want to come back to India. One of the reports, very interesting reports, which I read a couple of months back, said that the principal reason why people migrate in search of greener pastures, primarily it's because of economic well-being or security. But I'm sure there are other factors also, which probably never become part of the research data because of various reasons. There are rich who want to swim in the foreign waters just to diversify their fortune, probably set up alternative houses in other countries, expand their businesses, and so on. So, whatever be the reasons, if you look at a trend, definitely the trend is that majority want to go out, and more the number is increasing. In late 90s, I remember when there was a dot-com boom, early 2000s, late 90s. Lot of professionals, especially from the IT sector, were moving out of India. Even I think now, every year almost 1 lakh Indians give up their citizenship. And I think between last 11 years, from 2011 to 2022, more than 16 lakh Indians have renounced their citizenship. Of course, there could be various reasons. One of the reasons could be that India doesn't allow dual citizenship. Because the moment you take citizenship of another country, you have to renounce Indian citizenship. Whatever be the reason, I mean, these are the facts which are in front of us, and how we interpret them depends on the perspective from which you look at it. In my view, to ascertain whether it is a brain drain or a brain gain, I think the most critical factor to be evaluated is what kind of brain are we talking about? What kind of brain is going out of the country? In certain cases, for example, brain drain may be very good. Brains which are, let us say, fanatically against the very culture and ethos of this country, such brains may not be good for our nation. It is better that we let go of those brains. It's better that such brains get drained out of the country. There's no point in having an immensely sharp mind sitting here in our own country and plotting a bomb somewhere. We don't need such people. No nation needs such people. Then there are those who only have consumerism, or rather consumeristic attitude as the only attitude they look at the world. People with insatiable lust for comforts, luxury. If such people also stay in the country, their only aim in life would be to exploit and consume with absolutely no concern for others. Right? Such people are like, in my view, parasites on a nation, on the society. So even such people, it is better that they don't stay in the country. Then there is another category of people, of course, which is slightly different from these two categories. These are the people who are, let us say, great researchers, scientists, IT experts, who do not find opportunities and recognition in India that can match their talent. So they go out of India. Now, you cannot say it is a good thing or a bad thing. It is both in my view. Good in the sense that it helps to create a positive image of our nation among other countries. For example, people like Sundar Pichai, CEO of Alphabet, Google, Satya Nadella, Microsoft CEO, Shantanu Narayan, CEO Adobe, Arvind Krishna, CEO of IBM, and so on. So in that sense, it's good, but bad in the sense that we as a nation were not able to utilize the talent of such people. Generally speaking, I don't see anything wrong or right in our youth going to foreign countries for higher studies, for example. It is a personal choice. But definitely, I would like to tell the youth one thing: to always stay rooted in the principles of spirituality, in the ethos of this country, and do something to help your country, wherever you are. Doesn't matter whether you are in America or whether you are in Europe. Other factor which I think sometimes is the rate at which we are producing the engineers, doctors, management graduates. I don't think we have enough job opportunities here to absorb all of them. So I think some of them going out of the country might be helping to mitigate that unemployment issue in a very indirect way, right? I also know of many who have left the country but are deeply involved in many charitable projects back here in India, which are benefiting thousands and thousands of people. Even though they might be physically away from the country, but their hearts are very much Indian. Very much Indian. And I think if we create enough opportunities in our country, we can certainly retain good brains. There is also a reverse brain drain also happening, which we can say as brain gain. And I have also noticed that after COVID especially, large percent of Indian diaspora who is living in foreign countries, who once probably never thought of coming back to India, they are now seriously thinking of returning and settling down in India. If you look at the number of Indians who are leaving the country compared to 2020, 21, it has increased because that was a COVID period. But if you compare it with 2018 or 19, the numbers in 2022 have reduced. And the trends will keep changing. But unlike 20 years before, the situation is different, very, very different today. There are so many changes at the level of global economy, technology. So there's a very, very thin line, in my opinion, between what we may call as brain drain and brain gain. There's a very, very thin line. There are people who are sitting in India and working from home for companies in North America, even in Europe. And I also know of people who spend few months in India and few months in other countries every year because their job demands so. And now we see more and more foreign companies beginning to invest in India. Moreover, with the advent of technologies such as artificial intelligence, we can see that job markets are going to go through some major changes. As I said earlier, the challenges are manifold: unemployment, and somewhere it is related to population increase also. But that does not mean that we cannot do anything. If every organization takes baby steps, at least some change can be brought in. Probably we can retain some good brains. For example, in Amma's institution, Amrita institutions, both in educational and healthcare sectors, we have seen a huge reverse brain drain, or rather brain gain. I see that in last 10 years, Amrita University has achieved very, very high rankings. And perhaps because of this brain gain, many, many researchers, doctors, scientists, they have come back to India to offer their expertise and service. And if you look at, national geopolitical level, also, our current government, they have taken some very good initiatives, like our Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Modi ji has brought in some very good reforms, some very good changes in our system, which has encouraged the Indians living outside to spend more time in India. But ultimately, I think numbers are not very important. Numbers are not really important. Whether 1 lakh people leave India every year or 2 lakh people leave India every year, I think retaining one person with a vision in the country is better than retaining 1,000 blind people. Numbers are not important. So I wouldn't say it's good or bad. I wouldn't say that, this trend is going to be harmful, because there are so many aspects and so many angles through which we have to look at this brain drain or brain gain phenomena. But definitely, as I said, retaining one good person with the right vision is better than retaining 1,000 blind people.
Yes, Swamiji. And that was actually a beautiful answer, because I feel that location doesn't matter. As you mentioned, that location doesn't matter if you're rooted to your, to your ground, you're grounded. And also, I feel, this is just my feedback.